Welcome to the Blerdsnerds podcast.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Shannon.
I'm Mel. Welcome to the Blerdsnerds podcast book club. Woo!
Another episode of Blerdsnerds podcast book club. Glad you could join us for this whopping 20 chapters that we're about to go over. Chapter 21 through 40.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today. And Shannon, how are you doing?
I'm tired because we're recording this very early in the morning.
It's really early. I had to wake up at 5:30 to try and finish reading this because it's a lot. It's a lot. So
it's good though. A lot of stuff happens in these 20 chapters.
Oh yeah, I actually read a little ahead, like a few sentences, to see what would happen at the end of chapter 40 because I'm like, I almost wish that whatever's going to happen in chapter 41 was in chapter 40 so we can end on like a good cliffhanger.
Mhm.
It is a cliffhanger. I just wish it was like a different cliffhanger, but I digress. Okay, should we jump right in?
Yeah, let's start.
All right.
Also, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our podcast and follow our podcast.
All the good stuff, people. All the good stuff. Please give us feedback. And also have a discussion with us about the book because there's a lot that goes on, and I feel like I personally miss a lot of things just because it's a lot of details.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and make sure you check out our regular episode that came out this week with our interview with Brittany Campbell. It was a good episode.
It was so good. She's got some energy.
But yeah, let's get into it now.
Alrighty. So, chapter 21, we start off with basically we all know Anon's alive. Oh yeah, whoop-de-doo. And so basically the next thing his mother wants to do is to try and basically introduce him to, you know, everybody.
It's the board mainly. The Royal Council, there you go.
Yeah. So advisors. Yeah, so he's gonna have to prove himself to them, which looking back now after going through all these chapters, I feel like he never even did anything really that grand to prove himself. People just kind of accepted him is basically what ends up happening.
Yeah, he didn't really, and they don't really even accept him. His ideas are kind of not what they have in mind of how to deal with things.
Yeah,
he's more trying to still do the right thing without having to slaughter all the Magi, which is basically still what they want to do. Especially since they attack the palace and basically have control. The Ikia have control of the palace right now. So they just want to kill them, and then Inan is trying to convince them that there is other things that can be done.
Yeah, and so he has like a meeting, and you know, people of the villagers come and ask for like what they need. He promises he'll do what he can, and
he promises that all the villagers can have a share of the palace rations, which everyone is not happy about.
Yeah, which is kind of that's a very bold promise to make everybody when his mom's like, there's not even food enough for us.
Yes. But everyone needs to eat, and implying that the rations are just for the palace is giving a viewpoint that the royals are more important than the people of the city, which Anon was not trying to give that impression as king. So he is trying to do a good job, but he already messed everything up.
Yeah, no, he's definitely doing a good job. I just feel like I mean, I guess no matter what he does, his mom's always like, because he's trying to make these strides, and because they're kind of in the middle of a war right now, he's trying to do them at a grander pace. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like rather than do things little by little, he's kind of like jumping to like, no, we'll give them part of our food. And like on the other side of it, like Zaylee doesn't believe that that's actual like honest food. She says that it's like poisoned, and there's no way he could actually be honest in that. But they spare a young girl who gets caught trying to steal food during this what is it called when like people of the village come and ask for stuff? Is there an actual name for that?
I don't know I'm sure there's a name for it, but I don't know what the name is.
Okay, basically when they're in this like meeting with everybody who lives or whoever's there from the village, Rafia, she steals food, she gets caught, but he lets her go, and he makes sure that his cousin can bring her back to the forest safely to sort of deliver the message that, like, hey, I'm here in peace, everything should be good. And they're not having it on the other side. They say, nope, he must be lying.
Yeah, so in the next chapter, basically, when Amari is being introduced to the elders, which the elders do not like Amari at all.
Yeah. Talk about two siblings that aren't getting approval from either side.
Which I don't blame them, but Amari is largely responsible for the return of magic, so they should not be. It wasn't just Zealy at all, and if it wasn't for Amari, Zealy would have never brought back magic in the first place.
Exactly.
But anyway, when she's trying to introduce herself to the elders, is when the message gets delivered from Inan, that he is in peace and he wants the Ikia basically to surrender so that they can live peacefully together. And it was a real. We know that it was a real promise.
Mm-hmm.
Amari knows it was a real promise, but Zealy is so full of distrust and hate now, and she's not capable of trusting Inan at all. So she automatically assumes that this offer of peace is not real, and she thinks it's a trick. So she comes up with a plan to burn all the food, which will further escalate war and cause them more problems.
Yes.
Amari is the only sensible one right now. They should definitely.
Yes and no. I mean, I get where they're coming from. It's just hard when you feel like you're the only one.
No, I definitely get it. I definitely get it.
Yes, and it doesn't help that Ramaya is not an Amari fan at all. She basically threatens her life and is like, you talk to me again and I will cut, what did she say? Rip your tongue out with my bare hands. And I'm like,
yeah. Yeah.
Not someone I would want to mess with.
Yeah, so Amari basically says that she needs to get better at her magic so that they will at least respect her.
Yep. And so she and Zealy spend some time outside trying to work on her magic.
So yeah, she asked Zealy to help her with her magic because apparently the Titane's magic, as we've learned, is not the same as the Maji magic, and they have less control over it than Maji do. So it needs to learn to be controlled so that it doesn't hurt them, because basically it just ends up consuming too much energy and it ends up hurting them rather than helping them. So the next chapter, Inan and Anan goes to basically welcome the IKEA defectors because he thinks that they're here to make peace. And everyone's basically trying to warn him that this is not a good idea. Is he sure about this? And he says that he's sure, and he's so confident that his plan will work. Well, he's a little unsure, actually, but he's just hoping that the plan will work and that he'll right. Because he really try to avoid an all-out war with the IKEA. Mm-hmm. But everyone else was right, and the IKEA destroyed the food and burned it. Rafia dies. She gets caught, and Ajore kills her. But this is when Inan finds out that Zealy is basically leading the IKEA now, because when they're holding Rafia down, she says, your time is over, all of Lagos will burn, the soldier of death is coming. And basically that the phrase the soldier of death, Inan realizes that they must be talking about Zealy. Mm-hmm. And now he realizes that he's after her with a vengeance.
Yeah. And Jokoyo, the general, had no qualms about holding back, telling Inan that he sucks, that his ideas suck.
Yes, so he says that he will fix it, which who knows. Inan's kind of stupid, so he keeps making dumb decisions.
He does. He's not very smart.
The first wrong decision he made was betraying Zealy. That was the first wrong thing.
You know, the way he acts about stuff and he goes about stuff actually makes me feel like he's way younger than he's supposed to be.
How old are they?
I don't remember, to be honest. If it's
like maybe 16, 17, I feel.
Yeah, but the way he acts, and they call him Little Prince, so I always picture like a 12-year-old or like a 10-year-old.
Zealy calls him Little Prince.
Yeah.
I think he might be older, because I think maybe Zealy and Amari are the same age, and I think maybe Inan is like a couple years older. Like,
well, his decisions don't act like he's older. Yes, so in chapter 24, Amari and Zealy are training on the hill, and basically Amari just the more she pushes to try to learn these things and absorb her power, the more she's going to end up killing herself, is basically what they come to the conclusion to.
Let's preface this by saying that Zelie doesn't even want to teach Amari how to use her magic.
Right.
Because she has a very strong distaste for the Titans. And she doesn't like them. Even though Amari is her friend, she has confliction with teaching her how to use it also, because like even though they're friends, Amari is a Titan and Zelie doesn't like the Titans at all. So this is going to be an interesting dynamic between them, I think, throughout the rest of the story. I think they're going to come to disagree on a lot of things.
Oh yeah, that's definitely they're definitely going back and forth a lot. And it's interesting though, because at one point Zelie says, "My plans haven't changed. I still want to see you on Orisha's throne, but I won't apologize because I am no longer stupid enough to believe your brother's lies," which I find very true. But it's very interesting how she's very against all of that, but still wants to see Amari on the throne. Does that make sense? Kind of.
Well, yes, because she trusts Amari, and she knows that Amari will do a good job, but Anan has done a lot to sever her trust with him. So,
well, which is interesting. The fact that I think is interesting is because there's a lot of parts in here that Zillie's not trusting Amari's judgment. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to plan tactics, she's just kind of like, no, be quiet. Like, you know, she doesn't really know what to say, but she doesn't say anything. When it comes to like when it comes to Amari giving ideas to the council, Zillie's not really there to really back her up.
That's true. That's true.
So that's why I'm kind of like, this is interesting how she still has hope. It's like she has hope for the end product of her being queen, but everything before that, she's like, no, like I think
honestly, I think Zelie is kind of just like saying these things to Amari just so that she will be less. What is the word I'm looking for? Less. I don't know the word. So like, that she'll shut up a little bit. So that she'll shut up a little bit and just like shut up and like she'll be okay with the fact that Zelie's still on her side. I mean, I think that Zelie's still on her side, but I think that I don't know. I think Zelie has her own plans cooking in her head.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think it's like it's an interesting dynamic for sure, because it's kind of and to Zelie's defense, Amari's idea is really, her ideas are, let me just talk to my brother. Let me just talk to my brother. And it's like, well, you know, there's a lot of stuff you have to go through to have a conversation with this guy right now. So we can't really do that. And her thing is like, she's not, I feel like she's not really thinking outside of all of like, let me just talk to my brother. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, her mom's still there. Yeah. She has to go through her mom as well. So, so that's why I'm like, Zillie's kind of half in, half out. And there's more I'm gonna touch on after, but yeah.
But in this chapter where Zelie is teaching Amari how to use magic, he's telling her it's like threading a needle, and like basically, well, that's not really as important, I guess so. But basically, as a Titan, they're using blood magic to basically control their magic, so they have control of precision. So then she says you have to learn to control it, and it has to be like a needle. Which I did. Did she get it in this? Oh, but they're I lost my train of thought.
So they.
Oh, but wait, they draw a hint to the fact. So like Amari's bringing up her mother, and then it sheds light on the fact that her mother Nihanda might be something else. Like she's not a Titan because she's so powerful, and she can take power from other Titans that are near her. Mm-hmm. So this is the first glimpse that we see of that. Of them talking about.
Second, there was the part with Anon and her when they're heading into the village to give people food. They're heading there and they're talking about the fact that how she came about finding out she had powers, that it just sort of happened and she like gained strength, and she didn't know how, but she was just able to wield this like ginormous force.
It's crazy how these people have powers now, but they still hate the Maji, but they have powers.
Anyway, yeah, right?
It's completely outrageous. Anyway, so Amari wants Zelie to teach her an incantation so that she can have better control of her magic. And Zelie is completely against that. She's like, Yoruba is sacred to our people. It's not just something that you can learn. So, and Amari's trying to tell her that this is bigger than that, we're at war, and she needs to be able to access her powers in order to help in the best way that she can. And then Zealey's trying to tell her that like their magic isn't just about the war; it's bigger than that.
It's like a part of who they are.
But yeah, it's the history of their people, and it's not just about the war that's currently happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zealey basically ultimately says that you don't need control, you don't even need to use your magic, which is out of anger, of course, because of course she needs to use her magic if they're gonna get anywhere, you know?
Yeah. So the chapter 25 is just leading into the next morning. And
wait. I just want to bring up the promise that Zealey forces Amari to make. She's like, I'll teach you how to use an incantation, but you can never use it on a Maji. Gotta remember that.
So the next day, Zealey talks about how Amari made them train all night, which is why I find it interesting that like she's very much not wanting to teach her, but yet like going along with Amari being like, need to train all night, like let's just stay up and train. You know what I mean?
Because Zealey made her promise that she won't use the magic on Amari. So then she kind of
You think that gained a little bit of the trust, probably, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, she's like, you can only use it on the Titans, not against the Mavi.
Mm-hmm.
That was their promise. So then after she made that promise, then she helped her. Basically.
Yeah.
So
the next thing is basically Zealey being welcomed into the council. It goes through.
Yeah. We didn't mention that. We didn't mention before that they want Zealey basically to ascend to be the elder of the Reaper clan. So the next day, this is basically what they're preparing for Zealey to take that elder position.
Mm-hmm. So they get her clean. You know, she does all like the ritual of like, you know, getting clean, putting on. It's a red skirt, which I think is really pretty. It sounds really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Its train is so long it glides across the stone floor. And like there's a part here that I think is kind of powerful because they are talking about hiding her scars, and they say don't completely because it's a part of who she is, which I think is kind of beautiful. And you know, because it kind of is almost like what she did to fight for what everybody has thus far, and it's like almost wearing it as like a badge of honor in a way, like this is like what I did. So I'm kind of glad they didn't like completely cover it up.
And then she has a really, I like her little sweet moments with her brother in these last with her brother here. And
yeah, we haven't seen that much of Zane too, just in general, but this is really it's very lovely.
He basically comes in and tells her that she looks beautiful. It's like she's getting married. And then she lets him know that she's having doubts about leading an entire clan of people. And then he reminds her that before the raid, that she was really excited about joining the other Reapers, and that's all she talked about. And then it goes to a brief flashback of her and her mother when they watched an ascension when Zealey was younger of somebody else becoming the elder of the Reaper clan. And she was saying how, and like that, just seeing that moment, like how excited she was to do that. So it kind of like renews some excitement in her about what's about to happen. And then Zane basically just reassures her that she can do this and that she just needs to prove it to herself.
I have a question. I can't remember off the top of my head. Does Zane have any chapters in the last book?
No, Zane doesn't have any chapters.
Okay, so he's there, but he's not. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, I can't remember if they just completely like didn't add chapters in this book. But
let me say that he's not unimportant. He's just not important enough to have. Yeah. There's no point because he's basically. I mean, Amari's with them all the time too, but like anyway, whatever. He's just there to be, you know.
Yeah, it's just interesting though. Even though he doesn't have any chapters, he's still very much like he was very much more of a protector last time, whereas now he's kind of just sitting on the sidelines, which is cool. I just think it's an interesting dynamic how it switched, and he seems like okay with that. Yeah. But I feel like he's kind of finding his peace with like his
really job. He's really out of place there, you know, like he doesn't have any magic at all, so he's just there as Zealey's brother, you know. And like the person that went on this journey with them, but like there's really nothing for him to do there. But just
he probably like trains on the side, you know.
Yeah,
like does his own thing, which is
like
kind of cool.
Even his friends from the first book, the Agbon players that he got to help them. At one point, like they're they have magic, and like some of them are elders, and some of them are like involved. Like he really didn't have anything to do. So,
Yeah.
I wonder if he feels left out.
That's what I mean when I'm like, I feel like he sort of because even last time, because of their dad, he was very much, like I said, a protector, especially when it came to like Zaylee, whereas now he's sort of just like we're saying, taking the sideline and sort of doing that. Yeah, I wonder what he does all day. Eats, chills, plays Agbon. I don't know.
He's there for Amari.
Yeah.
He's preparing for his role as king when Amari makes it.
Oh my god. That would be, that's good. I didn't even think about that, and how that'll affect, if that ends up happening, how that'll affect his relationship with Zaylee. What does Zaylee become? Like
nothing.
sister-in-law?
Zaylee will just be the elder of the Reaper clan, and she'll just be doing her own thing, I guess.
Unless they decide to rule together, and they each take parts of the land to like
I guess so.
keep an eye on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come on, one land is just too much for one person to make sure that everyone's okay.
Oh no! Sorry.
What? Oh no! What?
I flipped to chapter 79.
Why would you do that?
I read the first sentence. I was like, oh my god. Anyway.
I feel like I need to know now. Well, tell me.
I think somebody dies, but I don't know who it is. Anyway.
Why you did this last time too? Why do you do
I know. I'm sorry. Okay, let's continue.
Why you magically just flip to like the end chapters?
let's continue.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Really goes through her ascension, and the current elder of the Reaper clan concedes. So basically, there's this process where, like, if there's already an elder in place, they can either challenge the elder to take their spot, or the elder that's in place can concede and just let them have the spot. So Mazeli, who becomes her second, but he's currently the elder. So, but
isn't that the one that's in love with her? That's like, you're gonna marry me one day.
But Mazeli concedes and just lets Zaylee have her place, because she's the one that brought back magic. So she's
mad respect.
So he says he happily concedes.
It is important to note that Zaylee is the youngest of all the elders when she goes.
Oh yes, that is true. So she goes through this process, and then this whole thing happens where she receives a vision from Oya, and she receives her Ispia, which I still don't really understand what that is. I mean, I know it's like a process where like Oya gives her, or like whoever their god is, gives them like a piece of wisdom, but I don't really understand.
I thought it was more of like a vision.
It's a vision where your god gives you a piece of wisdom, you know?
Okay.
But I don't really know what her Ispia meant at this moment when she was.
I hope they turned this into a movie so that we can visually see what their visions were for all these things that happened.
Because as it was happening, I really didn't know. Let me just read it really quick. It starts, so on page 127 at the bottom, it says, it starts with my skin heats as the Ispia takes hold. It starts with a purple ribbon of light spinning from my chest like a thread. A ribbon of gold appears next, twisting out of the blackness. Tangerines and emeralds join the fold, each light weaving themselves together. They intertwine like the roots of a mammoth tree, creating a power so great it roars like a lion air. Questions fill my mind as I extend my hand, reaching out to touch the spinning rainbow of magic. But as my fingers approach its searing heat, the ribbons of light disappear. I snap back to the present. So I don't really understand what happened. I mean, I don't think anyone's supposed to understand what happened there, but yeah, and she figures it out later, which I still don't understand how she figured it out later. But yeah, so that's basically her piece of wisdom, whatever that is. And then she's brought back, and that's it. She is now the elder of the Reaper clan. So this next chapter with Inan, chapter 26, I am foggy on what happened.
So this chapter with Inan next is he tries to escape. He tries to run out, or like I guess jump out the balcony. He tries, because he wants to go speak with Amari and Zaylee, and so he tries to hide his.
Is that what he's doing? I think he's just trying to. I thought he was just trying to find the camp.
I thought he was trying to talk to them.
No, I think. No, he says so in the first sentence. He's like, "Right now we're sitting ducks, but if I could locate their camp, we could launch our own defense." So I think he's just trying to find out where the camp is. like where the camp is of the Ikea that have hold on
Mhm.
the palace, not like their whole hideout, but just like that camp where they're settled. So that's where he's going to go.
Okay. And so um he takes a canister of black paint and like basically covers his white streaks in his hair,
Mhm.
and he basically wonders if it's enough to look like just, regular person. And so he cracks his window open and is just sort of looking above, and then I'm so sorry, I can never pronounce his cousin's name. Ojor.
I think it's Ajore.
Ajore
Yeah.
says, like, he kind of is that comical character where he's like, "You better be sneaking out to meet a girl," and catches him trying to do that, and
Mhm.
basically he ends up going with him, um, and that's why I got confused and thought he was going to see her because he said yes.
Yeah. And then we finally realize here, and also as they're leaving, and they're like they're going through the town, and they're trying to find the camp. Um, we realize that Ajore. So Inan talks to Ajore about his powers a little bit because Ajore asks if it still hurts him, and he says, Inan says it was never easy. This is on page 131 at the bottom. Inan says it was never easy, but it used to respond when I was in need. I almost grew used to having it around. It was like another part of me. And Ajore wrinkles his nose, so like he's still disgusted by his magic, even though like it's one of his closest friends that has it. But like it's interesting to see how he still feels about magic, even though a lot of the people that he works for now and the people that surrounding him have magic now. And then we learned that he's still kind of suffering from a little like trauma from when the burners burned their palace all those years ago, like before the raid. So you see that he like stops here. So it says a Joy's free hand trembles by his side. It takes a few moments for him to fall back into himself. When he finally does, he turns away from me. And then he says, he was triggered by the burners who burned the food, basically. And then brought him
Hmm.
back to like all that time ago when they burned the palace.
Yeah. I
So
want to know an interesting parallel between Ajore and Zane is that they're both always with people who have these powers, but yet they never end up getting
mhm.
hurt. You know what I'm saying? Because they're kind of just like they can't really protect themselves when it comes to the magic, but
Yeah.
they never end up in true danger.
Yeah. And it's hard, even though Ajori comes off as a charming character, it's hard to find him charming when he still has a lot of hatred in his heart. So
Oh
at the
yeah.
bottom of page 132, he says, "They've tortured us long enough. It's time for those maggots to crawl back into the dirt." That's mean. So
Yeah,
everybody,
that's unnecessary. I don't like when he says those kinds of things.
yeah, yeah. So they find the camp, and I think that they find nine Magi at the camp, and they're expecting them to be more of them, but those are probably just the ones that are there at the moment, and then the rest of them went back. So that now that they found the camp, Ajore is telling him that we should go back and get Nihanda and the others detained.
Hmm.
But when they get up to go away, two other IKEA are basically behind them, ready to capture them. You know, like drop your weapons. Um, and then she's like, send word to the elders, tell them we have the king. But Ajore basically, so like while they're distracted talking to each other about what they should do about communication, Ajore basically kills one of them.
Yep.
Yep. And Inan knocks the other one out. And then the other Magi are become alert that they're there.
Hmm.
Um, and basically they do some kind of magic. I think it's some kind of burner magic where they just like put this big red ball of light burning up into
Hmm.
the place, and they have to run away. Um, or wait, what does Ajore do? Oh no. He kills one of them that started the large flame. And but more magic happens. So a wall of fire appears out of thin air and it basically stops Ajori in its tracks. Um and basically Inan uses his powers without warning. So it says magic swells inside me, it surged beyond my control. I raised my hand and my magic exploded with such force I hear the bone shatter in my arm. So
Sounds painful.
it does sound painful. Yeah. And so in the next chapter, the monarchy eventually finds them in the woods, and they are trying to. His mother's there, and they're trying to heal his arm. So his magic was so powerful that it basically broke his arm.
Which is kind of crazy to think. I think
Yeah.
this is kind of like a little bit of a foreshadow of what might happen after.
Yeah, because I don't really think that Inan is going to get a hold of his power. Like, there's no one to teach him how to take control of it. Like Amari is getting help from Zeely, you know.
Yeah, but
So
maybe if they have that chance to talk, then
yeah.
I don't.
Oh,
I mean, she can't teach him, but
you think Amari would teach Inan an incantation? That would be so crazy because Zeely
that's
is
what I'm saying. It's. I feel
so
like this is foreshadowing because later on, I almost forget that Anon has these powers because he doesn't know how to use them, and so
Mhm.
when it comes to true danger, he doesn't use them.
Yeah.
When like besides this point, he
Yeah.
never has it when he's around. If you notice, when he's around his mother and she uses it, he doesn't use it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't use it around the general.
Yeah.
So I find that very interesting.
Yeah. So Jacoya comes in and says, and basically says that she's afraid to admit when she's wrong, but he did a good job of subduing the rebels.
Mm-hmm.
So now basically Lagos is liberated because they captured the IKEA that had a hold on the city. So now they can reopen their roads and basically take their city back. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a turning point in the war that they're in because they don't have that major advantage anymore.
Yeah.
And so they're basically torturing, or they're basically questioning the IKEA that are still alive to try to find out where the camp is and like where their base is.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to tell them.
No, so basically they've met the end of their fate.
Yep. And so that's how that chapter ends.
Yeah, and basically by the torture that they sort of give them, which sounds very harsh, is through a needle, and they put magicite in their veins.
Oh yeah.
Basically watch the life drain from them. Yeah.
Sounds incredibly awfully painful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
So
we only hear about what happens to one, and then basically the chapter ends with the general saying who's next. So
yeah.
because they're trying to get info from them.
Yep. So now, so Zeely is now, she has ascended and she is a Reaper Elder now. So, and they're basically celebrating. And Amari, they receive word that burners come back to the camp, and they receive word basically that their IKEA forces that had hold on the palace have been eliminated or captured. So that kind of just disrupts the celebration, and they're trying to talk about what to do and what to do next. So they call an elder meeting like right kind of in the middle of the celebration, and Amari's trying to like hear what's going on because she has ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So basically they're saying there's still a chance that we can overwhelm them if we strike fast. And they're basically turning to Zeely for answers. But Zeely is not in a position, I feel, to give it's logical advice because all she's fueled by is her hate for Iran. So that's literally all she's fueled by.
I think, I think she's kind of, yes, I agree with what you're saying, but I also think she is.
Rightfully so, but I don't think, I mean, I think that no, I think it's mostly fueled. I think it's mostly blinded by her hate for Inan, basically.
But that sort of goes with the line that everyone else is on, though, because everyone else just wants to kill that family. So it's not really out of place to think like that, like very rightfully so. It's kind of hard because I feel like everyone's kind of all over the place, to be honest. So like Amari is, I don't even know how to actually like articulate what I'm thinking about this. But Amari, we have Amari who wants to just talk to her brother, which like how are you going to do that, right? And then you have Zeely who just wants to kill Inan. Again, how are you going to do that? You have to get through like they're thinking of like the end product of what they can do versus like the plan to actually get there. And they're kind of just flying off the seat of their pants, which I guess is like because of the situation going to happen. But it's like I wish everyone would just take a breath and actually plan things out like in a way.
I think that both sides are a little too radical. Like, it's not as easy as Amari thinks to just walk in and talk to Inan. Inan still has a soft spot in his heart for his sister, but like her mother hates her. Like, know? So, yeah. So, but Amari tries to interject herself into the meeting. And she's like, to rush into an attack would be a mistake. If I can contact my brother, I can still see if he's open for peace. And Ramaya basically pushes her really hard to the floor, which is embarrassing. I would be so mad if that happened to me. Anyway, so
that's what I'm. Yeah.
And I guess she was really mad because what she does is she challenges
her
to be the new connector elder, which I was very surprised by that when I read that. I was like, wow, Amari, this is going to be a good next chapter.
I know. It's crazy. But yeah, so basically it's kind of like when Amari was given that to ascend to become an elder. Now it's like the opposite. She is challenging, so they go back into like their circle. And
so Ramaya basically like, how dare you? You don't have the right to be in the sanctuary, let alone to challenge to become an elder. And Amari says, am I not a connector too? No, I mean, you are a connector, Amari, but you're a different kind of connector. Like, you're not a Maji, which she's rightfully so. So
I just feel like she's like had one lesson, good to go. Like,
yeah, I know, it's crazy. I was like, wow, you really think that you can beat her, the strongest connector in the clan, and you had one lesson of magic from Zealy to see that you can do this. So anyway, the challenge is accepted, and basically it's going to happen. I don't know. I wonder, like, and then Zealy's pissed again, and she's like, the Maji are not defined. Well, Amari says, our hold on the August is gone. If no one listens to me, we'll have to leave. We're going to lose the war. And then Zealy's like, the Maji are not defined by this war. Being an elder means you have to lead your clan. How do you expect to do that when you don't know our ways? How can you fight for this when you don't know anything about the Maji at all? That's a very valid point. At any other time in life, I would say that she's not suited to be an elder, but they are in a war. And even though it's not just about the war is a pretty big part of why she kind of needs to be an elder now, because no one's listening to her, you know?
Yeah. But again, I think because everyone's so radical, I'm like, it seems like a lot of decisions that she also makes kind of bite her in the ass. So I'm kind of just like, I don't know if it will actually work, but sure, let's. Yeah. I mean, she's challenging her, so
I understand where Amari is coming from, though. So she says, you may not have to concern yourself with the war, but as queen, I don't have a choice. I have to put Orisha first, no matter the cost.
But what does that actually mean? Because we have an insight into her thoughts, right? As people on the outside of this book, we have an insight in their thoughts. And I'm thinking, is your plan because she says I have to do what's best for Orisha, but a lot of her thoughts are, I just need to talk to my brother. I just need to talk to my brother. And it's like,
yeah, I don't really know what her plan is beyond that. And I really don't think, so the only reason that she wants to be an elder is because she thinks she'll get the respect of the other elders and that they'll listen to her. But like, honestly, like that's such a small ask for you to take on this huge part of being an elder, because then what are you going to do when you become a queen? Are you still going to be a queen?
Are you going to be yeah, exactly. That was my next question.
Or are you just going to do it to win the war and just like, okay, somebody else can be elder now? Like, are you going to take it to heart like you should? Like, are you going to take it as seriously as this role is, you know?
And that's the way I was seeing it when I was reading it. So I like that you bring this other perspective, like you understand where Amari's coming from, where I'm like, but will she actually take this further? Like, what's her plan beyond this? Is it to be
exactly
and an elder? Is it to rule with Zealy, considering they both have equal parts in stopping this thing? Or like, how is it? You know,
I call now that she doesn't even take the throne because she wants to be with the Maji. Let's see if that happens at the end.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, or they both take the throne. I could see them splitting that kingdom.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
And maybe elders are a part of the royal council. Ooh, that would be good. Because, like, they're kind of like, they can be the soldiers also, you know? They can have, like, guards, but then they, like, can also be the soldiers at the table. And then also, it kind of gives me, like, Game of Thrones vibes where, like, you have, like, the major kings and then you have all the lords that just, like, rule parts of the land. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So basically, already in a day, like less than a day, actually, Amari breaks her promise to Zealy, and she uses the incantation against the Maji. So Zealy is probably really upset about that. Actually, she is really upset about that.
She's pissed.
So, she uses the incantations, but the incantations really are not enough to overpower Ramaya, because again, like Amari is she's new to this, and Ramaya is the strongest connector.
The little baby power.
Yeah, so the needle isn't working. So it says at the bottom of page 147 into 148, the needle isn't working, so I released the hammer. Because she's basically getting tossed around by Ramaya, and Ramaya's kind of like making it a game.
Yeah.
Around and being silly. So
Yeah.
Amari has to release the full force of her power, and it takes it a little too far. And I really thought that she was going to kill her.
I thought she was going to kill her too. But wait,
that would have been a very interesting story to read.
She leaves her in a very long coma that I don't think we still know if she's even awake yet.
Yeah, I don't know when she's going to wake up, but I feel like it would have been more dramatic if she would have died. I just feel like it would have been more exciting. You know what I mean? But anyway, but she feels guilty enough about it as if she might as well have died. So, but I really don't think that she would have gotten anybody's respect ever if she actually killed her. So I guess that she's lucky that she's still alive.
I mean, I don't think they'll respect her regardless.
Well, they come to respect her. Well, the other elders, we're going to learn later, come to respect her a little bit more after they go through the plan that's later on in the.
Yeah, but at this moment, I don't.
At this moment, yeah, but I don't think that. Yeah. But you see how that happened, like later, like they are coming to respect her a little bit. But I don't think that ever would have happened if they actually killed her. If she actually killed her. So I guess it's good that she didn't kill her.
Yeah, although I feel like, yes, and I also feel like people not move on quickly from the situation, but because they're in the middle of a war, whatever's right in front of them is kind of what they're going through, which is why they're all flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah. So the next chapter, there's an elder meeting taking place, and so we really don't know what happens at the end of this chapter. So in the next chapter, we learn that Amari is basically now the new connector elder. So Zealey's on her way to get her because they have a council meeting.
And I think this is a few days later too. So
yeah. So she knocks on the door and like she hears crying. Zane opens the door and like he's like, "Where have you been? She's needed you." And then Zealey's like, "Well, my people have needed me. So have my reapers." And so Zealey's basically kind of pissed, and she's putting more attention toward the reapers. And she's like, "Don't forget, she got herself into this mess," which she did.
Very, very, very true.
I understand why Zealey is mad. Mm-hmm. And then we learned that Amari, the healers from the healer clan, refused to treat Amari for her injuries.
Yeah.
So
no one's paying her any mind.
Yeah. So Amari's like, "I already asked the healers, and after the fifth one refused, I gave up." So like. But that the healers are not supposed to do that. They're supposed to treat anyone regardless of their personal feelings toward them, is what we learned. So it's that kind of sucks. But that gives a hint to like how much everyone doesn't respect her. You know?
Mm-hmm. And now even less. I feel like this sort of like she kind of went down a few pegs because of the fact that she hurt Ramaya so bad. Even though that was like it's kind of the point. Either someone dies or gives up during this fight, but I think it was all a lot. It was a lot to happen in the small amount of time, I think. But yeah.
So Amari's like, "I tried to visit Maya, but she hasn't woken up." So and then Zealey, we learned that she's been unconscious since the fight, and Connie's healing hasn't been able to revive her. Connie's the elder of the healer clan. So yeah, she's seriously injured. And Amari asks Zealey, "Do you hate me too?" And Zealey says, "I trained her that night. I taught her an incantation in a way I feel just as responsible for Ramaya's coma." And so Zealey's like, "You promised me you wouldn't use what I taught you against the Mahdi." And then Amari says, "I know, but I didn't have a choice." And then Zealey says, "You always have a choice. You just chose wrong." So she's upset.
Yep.
She's like, "You chose to win at any cost, like your father, like Inan," which is a very sharp retort. So, yeah.
Yeah. But the end of this chapter, page 152, you kind of see that Zealey still has a little belief in her when she says, "We need you."
Yeah. But also I found it interesting when so at the bottom of page 151, Zealey's like, "Her heartbreak cools my rage. I exhale a deep breath and turn her to face me. Of course she doesn't get it. She's a Titan, a monarch." So that was kind of a powerful statement. And she's like, "If you're going to be an elder, you need to understand that true magic isn't about power. It's something that's a part of us, something that's literally in our blood. Our people have suffered for this, died for this. It's not something you can just learn. You may have helped us get it back, but right now we're still being hunted and killed for the very magic Titans that you use against us." It's a very powerful paragraph.
Yes.
So Amari says that she'll find a way to apologize to the elders and the connectors. And then that's how that chapter ends.
That is.
In the next chapter, they're at the council meeting, and everybody is basically very cold towards Amari. They don't really want anything to do with her. and all of that stuff. So she tries to apologize to them. She's like, I didn't intend to lose control of my magic like that. I can only imagine how difficult that was to watch. But which her apology didn't really sound sincere to me. I mean, I know like the way that she said it, if I was on the receiving end of the apology, I wouldn't really take that
as an apology. Yeah, exactly. She's
Yeah.
like, sorry, but
She
yeah,
cares
we're
more.
here
She
now.
cares more about getting her plans out there than she does about the apology.
Like, she wants people to have this respect, and this is kind of where I'm just kind of like where I have this like block with her, is that she wants this respect, but clearly what you're doing is not working. So approach it a different way. Don't go and almost murder one of their favorite people and someone's girlfriend who's also on this council.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, that's even worse. I forgot about that. So she interjects and she's like, "What happened is a perfect demonstration on why it's in our best interest to make peace with the monarchy." So everyone, of course, rolls their eyes at this, and like Zealey's like, "Shut up! Like, what are you doing?" She said, "I said I would apologize, but we're losing this war. This is still the best plan." So
what makes her think that her plan is the best plan? I'm challenging a lot of what Amari's saying, because
I mean, I understand why she thinks that, because
everyone thinks their plan is the best plan.
They are, but no, but they are in this situation because they rushed to burn the rations, and now they're at full blown war when they potentially didn't have to be at war.
Yeah, I think they both could. They could have a really good plan if they all just sat and talked to each other. And that's not gonna happen.
But that's what she says. She's like, "You are the reason you lost your hold on Lagos. My brother's offer for peace was sincere. You forced his hand when you destroyed their food. If you'd only listened to me then, we wouldn't be here now." That's very true. It's a very logical point.
She's lucky but she is lucky that Anon's offer was truthful, because he did kind of turn their backs on them, and that's what Zealey has left in her mind. This is the last memory of him was when he betrayed them. So I don't blame them for not believing it too. It's kind of like you kind of toss the coin and hopefully it lands on something that's correct.
Yep. So basically they're saying that Nahanda is too powerful for them to just take on, like just the way they are now. And that Zealey says that if they train more, they'll be able to take on Nahanda. And they're like, how do we train? We don't know any incantations. And so that's when they think about Chandomble, which is the temple that they visited kind of sort of in the beginning of the last book, and about how there's a library full of scrolls there.
Yep.
So they make a plan to go get the scrolls from Chandomble so that they can train and become stronger so that they have a chance to take on Nahanda.
Which that is a good plan.
Yes, that is a good plan. So, but Amari kind of disagrees. She's like, Amari kind of disagrees with this plan, but like everyone is more enthusiastic about Zealey's plan because it's Zealey saying it, you know, as opposed to anything Amari's saying, even if.
But it's also a smart plan, though, because
it is a smart plan. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Zealey at the end, she's like, "Don't worry, I'm not saying a bid for peace is off the table, but let's get the scrolls first. We need new leverage against your mother in case peace doesn't work." And then Amari says, I nod, but when she walks off, my jaw clenches tight. I wonder if she's just trying to placiate me or if she truly believes her own lies. Placiate, that was the word I was trying to come up with earlier. So she's just saying these things so that Amari will shut up. That's the word I was looking for. Placiate.
Yeah.
Or placate. Placate, whatever. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But they quickly in this next chapter, they quickly find out where they're heading, because I guess some soldiers are tracking their movements a little bit, and they were spotted while they're traveling to Chandomble. And since Sinan has been there before, he quickly puts together on the map, if they're going from here to the palace, but they're taking this route, then he quickly figures out that they're going to the temple.
So here's my question: why did he I just wish he would have figured out a way where only he went, so that he could talk, and because
that was never gonna happen though. They would never let that happen.
Well, he was able to escape one time out of his
that's true.
out of his room.
But then he shouldn't have said out loud that he knew where they were going.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why didn't he just kind of keep it to himself? Again, jumping too quickly. You should just keep it to yourself, and then maybe because everyone will see that you're by yourself, you don't have any danger around you. This is very indicative that you're trying to just talk to them
But maybe he's not trying to just talk to them anymore after they burn the rations, you know? I think his mindset kind of changed after they burned all the food.
He's very here and there because we do see glimpses where he's like, no, I still want to be the leader that brings peace.
Yes. Peace. So, I mean, I guess true. So I guess I don't really know. So,
yeah, it's kind of all over the place. But yeah.
So while they're coming up with this plan, Ajori says, "Can you really face your sister?" And then everyone's kind of looking at him. So, and then he says, "It would be a lie to say I could hurt my sister, but I can take her in, especially when she and the IKEA poses threat to the kingdom." So, like, Inan's not aiming to kill them. Inan is aiming to just bring them in.
Yeah. Sorry, Shannon. Where are you right now?
At the end, 163.
Oh, there's a couple things that happened before that.
Like what?
Like the men that the mother was talking to in the cellar. And I was wondering if that was Rowan.
Oh, right. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Oh, is this chapter?
Yeah. It's okay. I'm going to try and edit it so that we don't have to keep, like, going
Sorry,
back
I'm just trying to rush through it now because it's 9:02.
I know. Yeah. If not, we can just skip that and I'll just pick up where you are at. I just won't even mention the Rowan thing with the men because it's not even important.
Oh, no, I mean, it is important. So, sorry.
Let's just continue. So
no, it is important though. So let me just mention that real quick.
Okay.
So I guess just say you forgot a part and then just talk about that, and then
I'll just actually edit it so that it's flipped. Because I feel like we forget about parts and.
Okay, yeah. So just bring it up again.
Yeah. Also in this chapter, we do get a glimpse that the mother is in cahoots with these two masked men in the clan, and they don't really talk about a lot of their characteristics, but it's a lot of like trading money for favors to like, to favors for the queen or the mother. And so it leads me to believe that it could be Rowan.
Well, it definitely is Rowan because Inan says that he recognizes him.
Yeah, that's the part that really kind of I start to think.
Rowan. So we learn even more now. I mean, we knew this already because he keeps coming and going. But Rowan is literally just a mercenary. He's not on anybody's side. He's just in it for whoever can offer him the most gold for a job. So that's basically where he is. I've given up on the fact that anything is going to happen between Zelie and Rowan. That seems so far away in the past now.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen.
I wonder whatever made them even have that connection to begin with, because he was just on the boat and then it happened.
Because he kept making advances at her, and I guess like the more it keeps happening, like I guess he'll fall for it eventually.
I guess so.
So they're traveling through the woods in chapter 33. And they stop because Dakare, who's a seer, is having a vision. And he's basically having a vision, and they see all the soldiers through the vision. They see that there are soldiers and stuff at the temple.
So their visions, it seems like their visions, everyone else can see them too. It kind of just like opens up into like, what is it? Like a translucent images, brief flashes, which is kind of really an interesting concept. I think that's kind of cool.
That's cool. So it is cool. So they learned that the soldiers basically find out where they're headed, and they're basically stationed at the temple. So they have to figure out how they're going to get in. So Amari says that she has an idea.
And then finally they listen to her.
Yeah, they listen to her. And this is when they start to like, this is when their respect starts to like change around for her, because she has this idea and it works for the most part. So basically, they tunnel underneath.
So here's my question. Did they go back to plan? I'm only wondering because of the whole welder part where what's his name? Tahir makes her a staff. And I don't think Tahir is there with them.
Well, it doesn't really say who all is there. I think all the elders went. Except I think all the elders went with them.
Yeah, but I don't think Tahir's an elder. I think he's just a welder.
Are you sure?
I think so.
It's not like they say who the elder of the welder team
I think that's where I'm a little confused, is because I don't remember everybody, or maybe they haven't introduced everybody. But also, why would
I just don't think that they introduce all the elders.
yeah? But I wonder why Tahir just like now gives her the staff.
Oh, I don't know.
Thing.
They don't really say if they go back or not. So I don't really think that's. I don't know if it's super important, but
it's important because of the staff part, and she very much is associating that with killing Anon.
I mean, yes, but they don't mention if they go back to plan. So yes, he gives her the staff, which is new and improved with 2 blades at the end. So
kind of cool. Kind of cool.
He wants to kill Anon. I mean, she wants to kill Anon. Anyway, so they go through with this plan that basically is them tunneling under the temple. Like, who is it that cast the big one of the
yeah. But they have to get
through. It's not Kenyon.
A small flame in Kenyon's hand lights the path as 8 of us make our way.
No, but somebody makes fog and like covers the temple in fog so that they can't be seen. Who does that?
Now.
Huh?
Now raises her hands and moves a blanket of fog.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's the main portion of how they are able to go undetected, and then they basically like get like underneath the temple, and then they tunnel through that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, no, never mind. We'll just go ahead.
Wait, which part were you talking about?
There's well, actually, I think it happens because they're not at the mountain or the temple yet. They are at they have to cross something. Remember?
Oh yeah. They cross the bridge, and they use whoever the grounder is. There's a lot of names here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so here is Kamaru's second. So Kamaru is the welder, right? Okay, that's okay. Anyway, but whoever the grounder is, there's a lot of names in here. But he makes it so that when you step out into the open air across the bridge, which is the bridge that they cut down in the first book. So when you step out into the open air, basically these little rock things form under you. So that allowed them to get across the bridge, to get across the gap safely. So, yeah. And it is Tahir that does that. Is Tahir a girl? Oh, no, sorry. I was reading that wrong. Tahir's a man. Sorry. Okay. So they get across basically, and then they are now going to tunnel under the temple. And I have to say, I appreciate Mazieli and Zeely's relationship. So Mazieli's kind of scared about this whole thing. And
I was going to say that. Yes, I'm glad you're bringing that up.
Zeely is very supportive, and she feels very protective of him already. And she's like, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I also want to note that he has never killed anybody. Yes. So he's nervous about killing someone for the first time. And I think that's very... it's such a good indication of what a good leader she is, because she's very also she has a lot of compassion towards people who don't have as much experience as her, even though we have to note she is the youngest, which I think is really cool. And this also shows an interesting relationship between Zaylee and Kamaru, because they start talking about stories, and Kamaru starts talking about the past and stuff like that with his father and stuff.
So in chapter 35, they're basically trying to find the entrance to the secret library where all of the scrolls are.
They do make it into Shandoble's, like, the actual temple.
Yeah. So now they're trying to figure out where the library is after they make it in. And they basically are discovered.
It's go time.
Yeah, they're basically discovered, and they're being chased now through the temple. So they're basically running, blah, 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 blah. And then
and then so they find the wall because they remember what it looks like. And so
yeah. Yes. And then Inan comes around the corner, and Inan is there, and like everyone's there.
Yeah. So but Kamaru tries to place his hands against the door, but despite his fingers glowing and his magic, he just can't break through.
Yes.
And that's when the first soldier comes around, and it is Anon who appears.
So it's kind of hard to decipher Zealey's exact feelings towards Anon. Like, it's mostly hate now, but I feel like she still harbors some feelings for him.
I think they have that connection still.
Yeah.
Sort of, because it happens with him as well. He doesn't necessarily hate her, but he knows that she hates him. But yet his feelings.
Anon doesn't hate her at all, I don't think.
But he knows that she hates him.
Yeah.
And so when they meet up again, he feels this strong connection to her, regardless of how she feels, which is interesting because I wonder if there's anything more to that connection besides him liking her.
Yeah. So Anon basically, so once Anon sees that it's Amari, he tells the soldiers not to attack.
And then Honda bursts into the hall. Mother.
Yeah, and she's like, eliminate the Ikea. And then Anon's like, no. But whatever. They're all gonna
This
listen.
family has like a listening, no one wants to listen. A listening problem.
So Jai, which is the winder in the group, he basically pushes them back with cyclone spins that he generates from his palms. So Zealey, so they need Zealey to open the door, because if we remember from the first book, Likan, which was the Centauro, put his hand on the wall, and then the markings on his arm basically is what unlocked the door. And Zealey has those same markings on her arm now. So she is the key to opening the door. So she put her hands on the door, and she prays to Likan, kind of. And she's like, I know you're still with me. And then basically the door starts to open. And then they all get in, and then the door closes, and a soldier that was basically about to get in the door, his arm gets cut off. His arm gets cut off.
Ugh.
Yes. So they're in, but now they don't know how they're going to get out.
So, luckily they've made it this far, and so they start.
No, but in the next chapter, this is reinforcing what I said about how he still likes her. He's like, it's like my spirit hangs above my body, suspended in a fragment of space. Seeing Zealey stops time, perhaps it always will. So, yeah, there's definitely still something there on his side, but maybe not so much on her side. Definitely not so much on her side.
And Anon's also fighting with the fact that they only have 40 soldiers left.
Yeah.
So they don't know how they can even take them. So he's having doubt about how they're going to fight, how his soldiers are going to fight them. They're having doubt, or not doubt, but they're trying to figure out now, once they do what they need to inside the temple, how they're going to get out.
Yeah. So, and he also says at the bottom of page 183, he's like, I was ready to attack, yet one look at Amari and Zealey and I could barely utter one command. I don't know what to do next. So he's going to have trouble here because those two are there and he really doesn't want to hurt them.
Yeah. And so is it the general? Yeah, she orders the soldiers to get the king back to the back of the hall. And this is what I was saying about how it's interesting how, because Anon doesn't know how to use his powers, how he just like can't in front of other people. Like he can it's interesting, he can when he's by himself and his cousin, but he couldn't do anything. Maybe because he's tempted by the fact that he saw them, but
no, he was able to use his powers before Zealey brought magic back, but now it's harder for him to control his magic because now every Titan basically, like, their magic has become too uncontrollable. So now he definitely can't use it.
But what I'm saying is, what I find it interesting is when it was just him and his cousin and they were in danger, you know what I mean? He used it. Whereas in front of his mom, and like he can never use it. Like when they attack the food and all this stuff, and there's like that little battle, nothing happens to him.
Yeah.
And nothing happens to him like when his mom's around. I wonder if he used it and his mom took his powers, how that would end up.
Oh yeah, maybe.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe there's more fear there in a different way that's not allowing him to break through to even though he shouldn't be using it because he's not good at controlling them. The fact that nothing's happening is kind of like what I'm thinking of.
So his mother basically says the IKEA risked their lives to retrieve what's in that room, so we can't allow them to obtain it or they may become unstoppable. So they realize that they cannot let them escape.
Yep. Don't let them go.
Yep. So in the next chapter, they're basically trying to figure out how they're going to get out.
But first, they need to collect the scrolls.
They need to collect the scrolls. And Amari says, yeah, they need to collect the scrolls. And then Amari says to Zelie, wait.
So it's funny because there's a couple things happening here, and I like the way she writes because I can kind of picture it. You have Mazzelli, who's just like looking at this hand on the floor of the soldier. You have like Zelie and Amari trying to figure out what to do, and then everyone else is just kind of like, I guess, kind of just struck by the fact that like we don't know what, like they're more like so fascinated by the fact that there's just these walls of scrolls all over the place. So it was very interesting to like imagine that, visualize it in my head. Yeah.
And they also learn, so they can't tunnel out the way that they tunnel in because we learned that the walls of the library are not earth or metal. So
yes,
they have to go out through the front door. They learn.
Just use the front door. It's fine.
Yeah. And Amari says, everyone fill the bags with as many scrolls as you can, and then we have to burn the rest. And so Zelie is just like, no, like, what are you doing? We can't do that. That's years of history that's going to be gone. But they are in a war, and all of the soldiers are outside. So if they leave any behind, it will fall into the wrong hands, and that will be even worse for them. So they're kind of in this impossible situation where they do have to burn a lot of the scrolls, and I think that just weighs on everybody in the room for a second.
So my question is, why would it? I get the scrolls falling into the wrong hands, but could they even do anything with it? With the mother?
Yeah, with incantations. Because Amari was learning how to do the incantations.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
they'll be able to control their power more, and I think their power will be more powerful than the modules.
And I think basically they're just trying to grab as many as they can, but make sure they have an equal amount for each plan.
Yeah. And then Amari kind of pulls Zelie to the side, and she's like, whatever you feel about Inan, don't act on it today. If not for me, then for Mazzelli's sake, getting out of here will require your full attention. And she's absolutely right. But Zelie kind of does not listen to her. And she's like, if I see him, I have to kill him. Sorry.
Yeah.
But she didn't say that to her, but like that's what she's thinking.
Yeah.
Which is, come on, Zelie. Don't, like, why?
Yeah, I don't think you should waste your energy on him.
She has to kind of see the bigger picture here. And she's not. But anyway,
But this is also coming from someone who's like, if I have a moment, I want to talk to him. It's like, you know.
Yeah, that's true. But they need to get out of the temple. She can't.
Yeah. So hopefully, both of them will just not do anything about Inan and just continue to be on their way. You know.
Yeah. Well, Amari realizes that she can't talk to Inan now. Like she knows that.
But I feel like she's been saying it enough that she would if she had the opportunity to.
I don't think she would do it now because she's surrounded by soldiers. She's not going to be able to talk to him with everyone, with all the soldiers there while they're trying to escape the temple. Like this, he realizes that this is not the time. Anyway,
yeah, they both kind of jump with their hearts though. So I don't know. I'm kind of weary.
I don't think Amari jumps with her heart as much as Zelie does, to be honest.
When it comes to her brother, she does, but
I think she recognizes the situation that they're in more. Than
true.
What am I gonna say? Oh yeah, something really interesting happens to Zelie here.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, very randomly, she is hit by her Ipspia.
Yep.
It's hard for me to visualize. So like a lot of interesting things happen here. It's hard for me to visualize exactly what happens. So she basically, light comes out of her mouth, and she's being lifted up into the air, and Amari tries to get close to her to try to like help her down, and she gets lifted up into the air also. I'm just gonna read this.
Yeah, that's fine. Go for it.
Read this. So I'm on page 190. So cosmic energy leaks into the space between us. Rainbows of smoke twisting through the air. With Amari's touch, hundreds of voices fill my head. Voices I haven't heard since the sacred ritual. And then the ritual words, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Okay, as the incantation thunders in my head, dozens of heartbeats ring in my ears. They pulse harder and faster, growing as my tattoos spread along my skin. That's when I see the cobalt ribbon of light twisting from Amari's chest. My eyes bulge as I remember my Isbi, and all the colorful threads of power weaving together. The same sight appears before my eyes now, but instead of a rainbow of color, Amari's ashe is still in navy blue. The cobalt ribbons intertwine before her body, creating a sphere of energy so powerful, its light flashes through the room. While Ashley crackles around Amari's form like lightning, its glow shines through her amber eyes. In a breath, everything disappears. Pain rattles through my. Oh yeah, so that's what happened basically. And I don't really understand how she understood what that meant because I didn't really understand what it meant, but she knows immediately what it means. So
yeah, this Oya very strong with her.
Yeah. So the tattoos that were just on her neck now have moved down and I think are on her arms now.
Is that like a way of like leveling up? Like
I guess so. So, but like now Amari can kind of see everyone's ashe in their veins, like in their bodies. Like she can see the flow of the ashe.
That's kind of cool. It's like when you're like, what color energy am I? You know,
it is cool. Yeah, it is. And so she sees Amari. Amari has much more ashe than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
She has enough that basically it should kill her, but she's alive. So she realizes that Amari must be more like her mother, or like have powers more like her mother, and that she can draw power from probably she can draw power from other connectors as well. Other connectors. Yeah. So they realize that they have to use Amari's power is key to defeating the queen.
I wonder what kind of if Amari and her mother sort of have the same power where they can gather power from other people who have the same power as them, like connectors. I wonder what her mother's like who she gathers from, because it seems like she's just sucking the life out of everybody.
Yep. She doesn't know how to do it yet.
Yeah.
But, they realize that it is possible.
But I wonder what kind. Is it a connector power? Is it a reaper power? Is it what is?
It's a connector. She's a connector. It's a connector power.
Her mother also?
Oh no, never mind. I don't know her mother is.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. That's my next question. Yeah. Yes.
So she's trying to convince her that that's how the power works, but Amari's like, you saw me on the hill, my magic doesn't work like that. And she's like, you don't really know because you've never tried it. She's only spent time around other Titans. Yeah, so basically Zilly's trying to convince her that this is a power that she has. Yeah. But I don't know if this is the time to use it when they're trying to. I mean, I guess I have no choice. So Zilly is urging her to try. So she puts her hands on her back, and the navy light starts to glow in her chest before softly shining out of her eyes. So it is working, I guess. I don't really know what's happening when they're describing it. So, and Zilly's kind of telling her that she sees the magic growing inside her core. Amari says her skin starts to burn as her fingers sparkle with dark blue light. And Zilly's telling her open her hands. So she stretches out her fingers and wisps of blue ashe drift through the glassy walls. And, again, I really don't know what's happening here, but something important is happening.
Basically, get the scrolls and Zilly has a plan.
And apparently what's happening should be impossible for Maji or Titan, but I don't really know.
Right here, all these people are just living and being able to do what they're not supposed to be able to do. Also, how do they know that they're not supposed to be able to do that? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Like, how much amount of magic is too much magic?
Yeah, I don't really know how they know that. I don't really even know what's happening, but something's happening. So now they're prepared to open the wall because they realize this power can help, and I don't really know. Again, still what it is that's happening. Yeah. But this is when, so like now they have a plan and everyone's ready to leave the temple. So Jai says to Amari, I may have misjudged you. You're not half bad. So there. And all it took was for Amari to realize that she can save them all for them to respect her. Of course they're gonna respect her if she can get them out of the temple alive.
Yeah. Very much so.
So they open the wall, and
soldiers start to come in.
Take them in, and the general shouts, "Yeah!" So so somebody from over there releases 2 cyclones down the hall towards them, and then Kenyon is going to shoot fire back at the cyclone, and it basically makes like a big explosion, kind of the cyclone with the flames.
Which is kind of cool. This is like.
I mean, cool if you're not killed by it.
Oh, yes. I think the visual of it is kind of cool.
Yeah. So with that, that with that big of a distraction, the explosion, they can kind of get away a little bit. Yeah, so Amari is using her powers to kind of push through the soldiers, and it hurts her mother.
Mm-hmm.
She grabs her head and falls to the floor because she's using her connector magic to get into her mother's head.
Yep.
And Amari is about to attack Yunan, but she doesn't strike. Because again, she has a really soft spot for her brother.
Yeah,
So
see, that's what I'm saying.
At the top of page 198, she's like, even as our armies collide, I see my sister, I see my blood. Yeah, but Anand's not going to kill her either. So it's not like she's naive in that way, you know?
No, but they're all kind of like that. That both of them. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not willing to, you know.
Yeah. So he tries to call out to Amari, but Ajore drags him around the corner. He's trying to get him to a safe spot because he doesn't want him involved in the battle.
Mm-hmm.
So
again, Ajore just never gets hurt. He's just there.
Yeah. So they hide in this closet until the footsteps disappear, and we're assuming that they make it not out of the temple, but kind of just like away.
Mm-hmm.
So
down the hall.
Yeah. So Yunan attempts to pull her into her dreamscape, but when the magic sparks, a splitting pain erupts in my head again because he doesn't have as much control of his magic as he did before.
Mm-hmm.
So
and this is daily. He wants to pull into the dreamscape.
Yeah. So Ajori, right. So Ajori tells him to stay there, but of course he's not going to stay there.
That's silly to think that.
Yes, he leaves the closet to go after Zeely and her sea salt soul, which is not a good idea because we're trying to get Zeely's definitely going to try to kill him.
And then I started to read the next chapter. Oh my god.
Zeely's definitely going to try to kill him if Yunan catches up to her. So that's not a good idea. But yes, so that was an exciting, action-filled 20 chapters.
That was a lot. There's a lot that happens.
There's a lot that happens, and I bet there's a lot that's going to happen in the next 20 chapters.
Oh, yes, there is.
Make sure you follow along with us. Download us on your podcast listening app of choice, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yeah. See you next week, guys. I'm Shannon.
I'm Mel.
Thanks for listening.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.